In this video, we're gonna really quickly go over a complete strategy on how to address and usually heal chronic back pain. I know this is the way to heal because I struggled with chronic back pain for more than 10 years, and for the last 2 years, I've been completely back pain free, and all of the things that I did, everything that helped me, was actually stuff that I discovered through experience. The doctors, the medical professionals, none of them were actually useful. In fact, they often recommended things that not only don't work, but actually cause a little bit more harm than good. So I was kind of stuck and I had to discover my own strategy and my own methods of how to precisely deal with chronic back pain. And I wanted to solve this problem. I didn't want another band-aid fix, another shortcut that's gonna only work temporarily. I wanted to get rid of this problem completely, which is what I did in the end, and this video is gonna let you know on exactly how I did this. Now, again, this is gonna be a really quick video. We're just gonna go over the steps like in a really quick fashion, rapid fire. If you wanna actually learn how to heal and get more detailed, more precise information, subscribe to this channel because we're gonna drop a lot of value if you struggle with chronic back pain. Okay, now let's get into it. When you first suffer a back pain injury, or maybe you have a sudden back flare attack like I did, the first thing that you're probably gonna want to do is grab some painkillers. If this is your first back pain attack, your body may not be completely used to this whole sensation and feeling, and you wanna try to prevent the pain from spreading. That's essentially how chronic back pain develops. First, maybe you have an injury that triggers like your nervous system, and that injury or pain can spread throughout your entire back and maybe even your body. And you want to stop that. If you prevent this, if you do this just on time, you're going to stop that from happening. You're maybe going to go through a little bit of pain for a few days, and you're not even going to need my channel and my videos here. You can essentially heal yourself just by the timely administration of painkillers. Now, the problem here is that you're probably going to need a prescription for these painkillers. And if you live in a country or a region where this is kind of difficult to achieve, maybe you need to wait for a little while. This is where the danger comes in. So this is where the pain can actually spread and become chronic back pain. So I would actually advise you to do your best and actually get your hands on painkillers that are going to prevent this from happening. You really want to prevent this because if you allow the pain to spread, it can actually take you years to heal. This is what happened in my case, I believe. You really don't want to go down this road. Try to really nip this thing in the bud and prevent the pain from actually taking over your life. Other than painkillers, you're probably going to want to rest for the first few days. It's really important to not aggravate the injury if you had one. You really want to give your body a chance to kind of rejuvenate and regenerate. You want to relax. You want to take a few days off here. Try and really rest, because if you're active, you're actually risking to make the injury or the pain worse. Now, there is a huge caveat here, and I frequently talk about this in a lot of my other videos. Rest is a powerful tool as well as painkillers, and they're typically gonna be prescribed to you by your doctors and medical personnel. That's fine. That's usually a good starting point, but this should only be done for a few days. If you're relying on resting and painkillers for more than 2 weeks, something's wrong here. Like, something's not going the way it should go. In fact, I think that if you don't get rid of the pain after a week, you're really in a danger of developing chronic back pain. And this is actually the focal point of most of my videos. If that happens, you're gonna have to take a little bit more time to address this problem. So if your back hurts for more than 2 weeks, chances are you're gonna have to continue with the steps that we're gonna outline from this point onward. First of all, you wanna make sure that your sleep is optimized, as close to perfect when it comes to chronic back pain as possible. For most people, this is gonna mean sleeping on your side with a pillow between your knees. Ideally, you also wanna sleep in a cool room, but not too cold. And also, of course, not too hot. You wanna get somewhere around room temperature. It should be pleasant, but a little bit cool so that you can have a nice relaxing sleep. If your back hurts in the morning, which is really common, you're gonna wanna break up your sleep in several different chunks. I usually did this with an alarm. I set up an alarm for 3 a.m. or in the middle of the night so that I could wake up, get out of bed a little bit, just a little bit. Don't wake yourself up completely. Just move your body so that it doesn't end up being completely stiff in the morning. You don't want to wake up. You still want to get a great sleep here, but at the same time, you don't want to wake up with horrible back pain, which is what happens if you don't move your body for 8 hours or however long is your sleep. Next, you're gonna wanna learn a few bracing techniques. I actually think that 2 bracing techniques are all you need, and these 2 exercises are gonna essentially help you get some relief instantly. The first of them is the basic bracing technique. You essentially just tighten your core, your muscles, your sides, like everything that's around the stomach, the lower back area, even the muscles in your back. You just make sure you're kind of trying to tighten all of them. Maybe you can kind of focus more on the upper abs. This is going to make your abs handle a lot of the posture work, and it's going to provide the muscles in your back a chance to relax. Another useful bracing technique is really similar, but you do it while lying down on the ground on your back. You're going to want to bend your knees a little bit, and you're essentially going to try and sink into the ground. You're still going to contract your muscles in the abs and in the sides and the obliques, but you're going to also kind of go towards the ground and try and kind of like sink into the ground. You're going to find this to also be really it's going to provide you with a lot of relief instantly. Now, the bracing techniques, they're just kind of like quick relief methods. They're not really going to guide you towards a permanent solution. For that, you're going to want to actually strengthen your muscles. And this is going to, usually it's going to start with some form of rehab exercises. Maybe they're going to be recommended to you by your physiotherapist. They may also involve some stretches, although I think they're less effective. So the starting lighter forms of rehab exercises, they're a great starting point here. But eventually you're going to find that you kind of hit a ceiling with them. They're not so effective in permanently reducing and preventing further back pain. For that reason, you're going to want to graduate to a proper strength training. Usually this is going to involve the gym. You don't have to go to the gym, but I've found it to be the best way to actually strengthen the muscles that matter. The muscles that, when strengthened, they take care of the physical component of this whole problem. Another key area of your life that you're going to want to change and address is going to be nutrition. So chronic back pain has a really strong relationship with inflammation. When the inflammation in your body starts to get high at unnatural levels, unhealthy levels, you're going to probably notice that you feel your back pain a little bit more, or even a lot more. This has been one of the most important pillars of healing. I've discovered that when I eat properly, and I eat for reducing inflammation specifically, my back pain reduces drastically, and this has also been the case for a lot of other people I've worked with. You will see a lot of other videos discussing nutrition and how to eat for chronic problems, specifically chronic back pain, but in general, you're going to want to eat lower carb, and you're going to also want to eliminate junk food. If you do that successfully, you're going to find that your chronic back pain levels drop significantly. Also related to nutrition, if you have some weight to lose, it's probably a very good idea to do that. You're going to ease the pressure on your spine and on your joints, and also your entire body is going to be in much better shape. Your inflammation levels are also going to drop. So it's a really good idea. For guys, maybe if you're above 20% body fat, you want to get to at least 20, ideally even less than that. For women, I think 30% is actually the commonly recommended like cutoff point, above which women are considered overweight. You want to also get below that as a woman. Now, that concludes the physical part of the methods. But as you probably know, chronic back pain is psychosomatic, and that means it has a really strong psychological and emotional component to it. To address those parts, we're going to use different set of methods. For starters, I recommend people develop this skill I call productive distraction. Essentially, what this means is that you're not thinking about your back pain. And this can be really difficult, especially if you're going through a lot of pain, but it's essential that you master this skill, because if you think about your pain all of the time, it's going to be really, really a lot harder to get rid of it. This is a psychosomatic problem. Again, so psychology is a big part of it. If you keep looping on your pain in your thoughts, you're going to find that it not only gets more difficult to get rid of, but it also increases in a lot of cases. So the best way to do that is to actually do something else, something that gets your mind off of the pain, puts you in a nice flow state where you're engaged, your mind is engaged with another activity. And when you do activities like this, especially activities that involve your body, maybe like sport, sex, dancing, anything that's really like involving the body, and it's predominantly like a body activity, you're going to find that these flow activities are really beneficial. Another really important psychological and emotional pillar of healing chronic back pain is going to involve the resolution of trapped emotions. I'm just going to briefly touch on this here because I talk about this in a lot of my other content. Essentially, the best way to do this is to first journal about all of the events that are bothering you, and then do the proper release work to actually get rid of them as best as you can. Sometimes this is going to take quite a lot of work and quite a lot of time. It's difficult work, essentially. You're really getting in there. You're really working on issues that are really problematic. Maybe you've carried them for a long time. Maybe they've bothered you since you were a child. This is really common, and this is going to shock a lot of you, but you probably will discover that if you address these issues, most of your back pain, if not all of it, goes away completely and instantly. And this is a huge part of healing chronic back pain. We're not going to go into the details here. A relevant video is going to appear above me. And the last technique, and this one is kind of like all-encompassing, it's really beneficial to have it developed and used throughout your entire healing journey, is to address your mindset and to fix it, to set it properly so that you have the best chance of healing and addressing your chronic back pain. I also talk a lot about this in my other content and videos. Essentially, first you want to get to a place of acceptance. And this is going to be really difficult. It's really difficult to accept the fact that pain may be a permanent part of your life. But if you struggle with the concept mentally in your thoughts, you're going to find that pain is actually getting amplified. You want to first be okay with the fact that, okay, maybe you're going to live with some amount of pain for the rest of the time. Once you completely do this, and this is like a really kind of like a tricky method to master, especially for us people from like Western countries, we have a really difficult time letting go, which, by the way, can also be one of the major amplifiers and root causes of chronic back pain. But once you develop this skill, you're probably going to find that chronic back pain diminishes at least a little bit. Other than that, you're going to want to work on gratitude, definitely one of the most powerful skills. It's also going to have benefits that you're going to see them in other areas of your life as well. And of course, bravery, being brave in the face of fear and pain, all of that is going to really kind of like round up your mindset in a nice way and provide a really fertile environment for healing. So we covered a few methods here, but we're only scratching the surface here. If you really want to go deep and actually get this problem handled once and for all, check out the resources in the pinned comment and description. A lot of them are free. I have a free book. I have an app with a free tier, and I also have a course. All of these resources are going to be really, really massive for you. I think you're going to find that healing back pain is going to be easy once you have a detailed outlined step-by-step plan to follow. Also, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, because we have a ton of videos on how to actually address chronic back pain. And the next video that's going to appear above me is a great place to continue. I will see you there. And until next time, be brave.